The mighty Vaktar warship shook as human plasma cannons tore through its shields. High Commander Zexthul gripped his command chair, his scaled hands trembling as he watched his fleet die around him. Red warning lights painted the bridge in blood-colored shadows while alarms screamed their final song. "All ships are down, Commander," his tactical officer reported, voice cracking. "The Zeph crystal ships. They're just floating debris now. The Morden gas clouds have been scattered to nothing." Zexthul stared at the main screen. Human ships hung in space like sleeping predators, their weapons still glowing hot from the slaughter. 47 years ago, these same humans had begged for peace when the three great empires came to their tiny colony. Now they commanded fleets that made the old imperial navies look like toys. "Open communications," Zexthul ordered. "All frequencies. Emergency surrender protocols." The human response came quickly. A woman's face appeared on screen, her dark eyes cold as deep space. Admiral Sarah Chen wore the simple gray uniform of Earth Space Command, but she carried herself like an empress. Behind her stood other humans, their faces showing the same terrible calm. "This is Admiral Chen of the Human Defense Fleet," she said. "You have 60 seconds to abandon your ships and prepare for transport to the negotiation chamber." "Admiral Chen," Zexthul began, his voice carefully humble. We wish to discuss terms of surrender. Surely we can find common ground." 50 seconds, Chen interrupted. Across the galaxy, the same scene played out at a dozen battle sites. The Zeph Collective's crystal fleets, which had once turned entire star systems into glowing monuments to their power, now drifted as shattered fragments. The Morden Empire's living gas ships, beings that could swallow planets, had been reduced to whispers in the void. The Vaktar hegemony, whose scale-armored warriors had conquered 1,000 worlds, found their mighty dreadnoughts cracking like eggs under human fire. The war had lasted exactly 73 days. The three empires that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were broken. Now their leaders sat in a simple metal room aboard Kepler Station, humanity's newest diplomatic facility. The chamber was small and plain, nothing like the golden halls where galactic treaties were usually signed. Admiral Chen stood before them, flanked by two other humans who said nothing but watched everything. Zexthul had removed his ceremonial armor. Beside him, crystal singer Morthax of the Zeph flickered with dim, nervous light. The Morden representative, a being called Wind Through Darkness, maintained its gaseous form in a containment suit, but even its swirling patterns showed fear. "We come before you in the spirit of peace," Zexthul began. He had practiced this speech during the long journey to Kepler Station. "The conflicts between our peoples were unfortunate misunderstandings. Ancient grievances that—" "Stop talking," Chen said quietly. The silence that followed was deafening. Zexthul had commanded fleets, conquered worlds, and spoken before the Galactic Council countless times. But this human woman's simple words cut through his prepared speech like a blade. 47 years ago, Chen continued, your people came to a human colony called New Harmony. Do you remember what happened there?" Crystal Singer Morthax's light patterns shifted nervously. "Admiral Chen, we understand your anger, but do you remember?" Chen repeated, looking directly at Morthax. The Zeph being's crystalline form dimmed further. "There were security concerns," Wind Through Darkness spoke through its translator. "Your species showed aggressive expansion patterns. The colony was home to 12,000 humans," Chen said. "Families, children, scientists and farmers and teachers and artists. People who had never fired a weapon at anyone." She walked closer to the alien leaders, her footsteps echoing in the small room. "You want to talk about misunderstandings? Let me tell you what we understand. We understand that you came to New Harmony with 3 battle fleets. We understand that you bombed the cities first, then landed ground troops to hunt down the survivors. We understand that your soldiers went house to house, room by room, to make sure no human escaped." Zexthul tried to speak, but Chen raised her hand. "We understand that you saved the children for last, made their parents watch. We understand that you recorded everything and sent the footage to your homeworlds as entertainment. We understand that you destroyed every building, every memorial, every trace that humans had ever lived there." The alien leaders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They had expected negotiations, demands for territory or resources. They had brought offers of tribute, technology, entire star systems to purchase peace. They had not expected this cold recital of facts. "That was a different time," Zexthul said desperately. "The galaxy was more violent then. We have learned, evolved. Our peoples now seek only peace and cooperation. Chen smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Peace and cooperation. Is that what you called it when you told every other species in the galaxy that humans were dangerous? When you shared your fabricated evidence of our war crimes? When you made the whole galaxy celebrate the extinction of our colony? She leaned forward, placing her hands on the table. You see, there's something you never understood about humans. We remember everything. Every name, every face, every moment of pain. While you were congratulating yourselves on solving the human problem, we were building monuments to our dead. While you were rewriting history, we were preserving the truth. Wind Through Darkness swirled anxiously in its containment suit. What do you want from us? Name your price. Worlds, resources, technology, anything. Our peoples need not be enemies. Your peoples killed our people, Chen replied simply. You murdered children and called it necessary. You erased a colony and called it justice. You lied to the galaxy and called it truth. She straightened, her cold eyes moving from one alien leader to the next. But here's what you really never understood about humans. We don't just remember the pain. We remember the lesson. We learned that in this galaxy, peace is not given to the peaceful. It must be taken by the strong. Alarms suddenly echoed through the station. Through the chamber's single window, new ships appeared in the void. Hundreds of them, sleek and deadly, emerging from hyperspace like hunters scenting prey. Those are our ships moving toward your home systems, Chen said calmly. Right now, human fleets are taking position around every world you hold dear. Your military bases are being surrounded. Your government centers are being targeted. Your communication networks are being seized. Zexthol's scales turned pale gray. You cannot. The civilian populations will be completely safe, Chen finished. We are not you. We do not kill innocents to make a point. But your governments, your military commands, your propaganda networks, those will be dismantled permanently. She walked to the window, looking out at the human fleet. You came here expecting to negotiate like this was a normal war between normal enemies. But this was never a war. This was justice. And justice has been 47 years coming. The alien leaders sat in stunned silence, finally understanding their situation. They had not lost a war. They had been judged and found wanting. The age of your empires is over, Admiral Chen said without turning around. A new age begins now, one where those who remember the slaughter ensure it never happens again. In the darkness of space, human ships moved like silent angels of judgment, carrying the weight of memory and the promise of a galaxy where the innocent would never again be destroyed for the crime of existing. Dr. Marcus Webb knelt in his garden, watching his 8-year-old daughter Emma chase butterfly-like creatures through the crystal flowers. New Harmony Colony had been humanity's proudest achievement, a perfect blend of human innovation and alien beauty. The settlers had spent 20 years turning this dead rock into a paradise. Daddy, look, Emma called out, holding up a glowing flower that pulsed with soft blue light. It's singing to me. Marcus smiled, remembering when they first discovered these plants responded to human emotions. Emma had a special gift for making them glow brighter than anyone else could. The xenobotany team called it emotional resonance. Marcus just called it magic. That's wonderful, sweetheart, he said, checking his tablet. 3 more families had arrived on this morning's transport, bringing New Harmony's population to exactly 12,000 people. Teachers, farmers, artists, engineers, all of them drawn by the dream of building something beautiful among the stars. The communication alert chimed on his wrist device. Marcus expected another routine report from the orbital station, but Dr. Sarah Kim's face appeared with unusual excitement. Marcus, you need to see this. We've got visitors, big ones. Within an hour, the entire colony buzzed with anticipation. 3 massive ships hung in orbit, each one representing a different alien species. The Vaktar vessel looked like a giant metal serpent, its hull covered in scale-like armor plates. The Zeph ship appeared to be made of living crystal, refracting starlight into rainbow patterns. The Mordoon craft was harder to see, a dark cloud that seemed to bend space around itself. First contact protocol, Marcus announced over the colony-wide communication system. Everyone stay calm. This is what we've dreamed of since we left Earth. The alien delegation landed in New Harmony's Central Plaza at sunset. Marcus led the greeting committee, his heart racing with excitement. Emma stood beside him, clutching his hand and staring in wonder at their visitors. High Commander Zexthul of the Vaktar stepped forward first, his scales catching the last rays of sunlight. He was nearly 8 feet tall, with intelligent golden eyes and a bearing that spoke of great authority. Behind him came Crystal Singer Morthax, whose body was like a walking sculpture of living light. The more done representative wind through darkness flowed in its containment suit like captured storm clouds. "Greetings, people of Earth," Zexthol spoke through a translation device. "We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship between our species." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. After centuries of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, here was proof that intelligence and goodness existed among the stars. "Welcome to New Harmony," he replied. "Our colony is honored by your visit." The next 3 days were magical. The aliens toured the colony, marveling at human achievements. They showed particular interest in the terraforming technology and the way humans lived in harmony with the modified environment. Children followed the visitors everywhere, fascinated by their strange but wonderful appearance. Emma drew pictures of all 3 species and gave them to the alien leaders as gifts. Crystal Singer Morthax was delighted by a drawing that somehow captured the way light moved through its crystalline body. "Your offspring shows great artistic perception," it told Marcus. "We would welcome cultural exchange with your people." On the evening of the 3rd day, the alien leaders met with Marcus and the Colony Council in the community center. The building was packed with excited colonists eager to hear about humanity's future among the stars. "Your species shows great promise," Zexthol announced. "We would like to invite Earth to join the Galactic Council as junior partners. There is much we can teach you about space travel, energy production, and planetary management." The crowd erupted in cheers. Marcus felt overwhelmed with joy and possibility. Humanity had not just found alien life, they had found friends and teachers. But something nagged at him. During the 3 days of meetings, he had noticed the aliens asking very specific questions about human military capabilities, population numbers, and industrial capacity. When he brought up concerns about sharing sensitive information too quickly, his fellow council members dismissed his worries. "Marcus, you're being paranoid," said Dr. Elizabeth Carter, the colony's lead administrator. "Look at them. They've shared their technology, their culture, their friendship. This is the beginning of a golden age for humanity." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He walked through the colony streets, past the community gardens where human crops grew alongside alien plants, past the workshops where colonists and aliens worked together on new projects. Everything seemed perfect. Too perfect. He made his way to the communication center, intending to send a routine report to Earth. As he approached the building, he noticed unusual activity. Several alien shuttles were landed nearby, and strange equipment had been set up around the colony's main transmission array. Marcus hid behind a storage building and activated his tablet's recording function. Through the tablet's enhanced optics, he could see alien technicians working on humanity's communication equipment. They were installing something, small devices that attached to the transmission relays. His blood ran cold as he realized what he was seeing. The aliens weren't upgrading their communication system. They were installing monitoring devices. Every message to and from New Harmony would now pass through alien-controlled equipment. Marcus quietly backed away and returned home, his mind racing. He found Emma asleep in her bed, still clutching one of her drawings. This one showed humans and aliens holding hands under a bright star. At the bottom, she had written in careful letters, "Best friends forever." The next morning, Marcus tried to contact other colony council members privately, but found that all personal communications were being enhanced by their new alien friends. Every call was monitored. Every message was filtered. By afternoon, he noticed more changes. Alien personnel were conducting security surveys of the colony's defenses. They mapped every building, every tunnel, every possible hiding place. When Marcus asked Zexthul about it, the Vaktar commander smiled with too many teeth. "Standard procedure, Dr. Webb. We must ensure our new friends are properly protected. There are dangerous species in this galaxy who might threaten peaceful colonies like yours." That evening, Marcus made a terrible discovery. Using his xenobiology access codes, he hacked into the alien shuttle communications. The translation was rough but clear enough to understand. Population confirmed at 12,000. Military capability minimal. Infrastructure easily replaceable. Recommendation: proceed with cleansing operation at dawn. Marcus's hands shook as he read the messages. This wasn't first contact. This was reconnaissance for an extermination mission. He tried to contact Earth directly, but the alien monitoring system blocked his transmission. He tried the colony's emergency broadcast system but found it had been quietly disabled. The aliens had systematically cut off every possible way for New Harmony to call for help. Marcus looked around the communications center, desperate for any way to warn Earth about what was coming. Finally, he remembered the old quantum emergency beacon hidden in the basement, a backup system most people had forgotten about. Working frantically through the night, Marcus managed to establish a narrow quantum tunnel directly to Earth's deep space communication array. The signal was weak and would only last a few minutes before the aliens detected it, but it was enough. "This is Dr. Marcus Webb, New Harmony Colony, Kepler 442b. He whispered into the transmitter as dawn light began to filter through the windows. "We are under immediate threat from hostile aliens posing as peaceful visitors. 3 species, Vaktar, Zeph, and Morden. They plan to attack at sunrise. 12,000 colonists in danger. They have monitoring equipment, detailed maps, complete intelligence on our defenses." The sound of alien shuttles filled the air outside. Through the window, Marcus could see armed soldiers deploying around the colony. The peaceful visitors had become an invasion force. "Emma," he whispered, thinking of his daughter still asleep at home. "They're coming for all of us." He keyed the transmitter one final time. "Remember us. Remember what they took. Don't let them convince you it was necessary. The aliens are not what they pretend to be." The communication center door exploded inward. Vaktar soldiers rushed in, their weapons already charging. Marcus had just enough time to destroy the quantum transmitter before the plasma bolt hit him. His last thought was of Emma's drawing, humans and aliens holding hands under a bright star. Best friends forever. The slaughter of New Harmony began with the sunrise, just as the aliens had planned. Council Speaker Thylos of the peaceful Thylorian Republic stared at the holographic evidence floating above the assembly table. The images showed human military installations, weapon stockpiles, and what appeared to be plans for galactic conquest. Her forearms trembled slightly as she processed the disturbing information. "This is deeply troubling," she said, her melodic voice carrying across the Galactic Council chambers. "We had hoped the humans would prove to be peaceful neighbors." High Commander Zexthul stood at the center of the Great Hall, his scales polished to a brilliant shine for this historic session. Around him, representatives from 47 different species listened to his testimony about the human threat. "Honored council members," Zexthul began, his voice carefully modulated to convey both sadness and determination. "It grieves me to bring this evidence before you. When our 3 species first encountered the humans at their colony world, we hoped for friendship and cooperation." The holographic display shifted, showing what appeared to be human soldiers training with advanced weapons. The images were expertly crafted, blending real human colonists with computer-generated military scenarios. "Instead, we discovered a species consumed by territorial aggression," Zexthul continued. "Their colony on Kepler 442b was not the peaceful settlement they claimed, but a forward military base designed to launch attacks against established galactic civilization." Crystal Singer Morthax added her testimony, her crystalline form pulsing with rehearsed patterns of sorrow. "The humans refused all attempts at diplomatic resolution. When we tried to negotiate territorial boundaries, they responded with threats of violence. Wind through darkness flowed forward in its containment suit. Our intelligence networks detected human plans to attack civilian populations across multiple systems. We had no choice but to act in self-defense." Scholar Prime Ekthar of the Academic Ektar Collective raised a tentacle. "The evidence is clear, but the response seems disproportionate. Complete orbital bombardment followed by ground extermination forces?" Zexthul's expression grew stern. "Honored scholar, you have not faced human military doctrine. They are unlike any species we have encountered. They do not follow civilized rules of warfare. They target civilians, use biological weapons, and show no mercy to prisoners. Our response was precisely calibrated to neutralize the threat before it could spread." The lies flowed smoothly, each one building upon the last. The 3 empires had spent months preparing this presentation, crafting false evidence and rehearsing their testimony. They controlled the galaxy's major communication networks, making it easy to suppress any contradictory information. "What of the human children reported to be on the colony?" asked Captain Velnara of the Nomadic Velkani Trade Union. "Tragic but unavoidable," Wind Through Darkness replied. Human younglings are indoctrinated from birth as future soldiers. Our xenopsychology experts confirmed that human children as young as 5 years old were already trained in weapons use and tactical planning. More false images appeared. Human children that had been digitally altered to appear threatening, holding weapons that had never existed, participating in military drills that had never happened. The council session continued for 6 hours. Expert witnesses provided detailed analyses of human aggression patterns. Military advisors explained why total extermination had been the only option. Cultural specialists described humanity as a virus species that could not coexist with civilized galactic society. By the end, most council members were convinced. The humans had been a legitimate threat that required extreme measures to contain. The destruction of New Harmony was regrettable but necessary. The council recognizes the defensive action taken by the Vaktar hegemony. Zeph Collective and Mordun Empire, Speaker Thylos announced. While we mourn the loss of life, we acknowledge that the protection of galactic civilization required difficult decisions. The formal vote was unanimous. The destruction of New Harmony was officially classified as a defensive action against aggressive expansion. The human species was declared incompatible with galactic peace, and their remaining worlds were placed under protective quarantine. Across the galaxy, the news spread through official channels. The humans had been stopped before they could begin a campaign of conquest. The 3 great empires had saved civilization itself. On Thylos Prime, citizens gathered in public squares to watch the council broadcast. "Thank the stars," said one Thylorian farmer. "Imagine if those monsters had reached our worlds." The scholarly Ektar studied the evidence in their great libraries, adding humanity to their lists of extinct aggressive species. A cautionary tale, their historians wrote. This is what happens when evolution produces intelligence without wisdom. The nomadic Velkhani passed the story through their trade networks, warning other species about the dangers of unchecked militarism. The galaxy is safer now, their merchants agreed. But the truth had a way of surviving, even in the face of overwhelming propaganda. On Earth, Dr. Marcus Webb's final transmission had been received by the Deep Space Communication Array. His desperate warning reached human colonies across known space before the alien monitoring systems could block it. The quantum encrypted message was copied, stored, and distributed through humanity's secure networks. When the official galactic news reported the destruction of New Harmony as a defensive action, humanity's leaders compared it to Webb's transmission. The contrast was stark and horrifying. "They murdered our people," President Maria Santos said during an emergency session of the Earth Council. 12,000 innocent civilians, including 3,000 children. And now they're telling the galaxy we deserved it. The evidence was overwhelming. Human reconnaissance drones had recorded the entire 3-day diplomatic visit. The footage showed alien soldiers conducting detailed reconnaissance, mapping the colony's defenses and installing monitoring equipment. It showed the systematic execution of civilians, the destruction of hospitals and schools, the deliberate targeting of children. But when human representatives tried to share this evidence with the Galactic Council, they found their transmissions blocked. The 3 empires controlled the communication networks, and no contradictory information was allowed to reach other species. They're not just covering up a war crime, Intelligence Director Robert Chen realized during a classified briefing. They're rewriting history, making us the villains in our own extinction. Humanity tried every diplomatic channel, every official protocol, every legal avenue. They appealed to the Galactic Court of Justice, only to find that the 3 empires' fabricated evidence had already been accepted as fact. They reached out to individual species, but found their messages intercepted and filtered. The galaxy believed the lie because the lie was all they were allowed to hear. In the months that followed, human colonies were placed under increasingly strict quarantine. Trade was cut off. Diplomatic contacts were severed. Slowly but systematically, humanity was being isolated from galactic civilization. They're preparing to finish what they started, Admiral Patricia Hayes warned the Earth Defense Council. First, they destroy one colony and test the galactic reaction. When nobody objects, they'll come for the rest of us. But humanity had advantages the aliens didn't understand. Their quantum communication networks were impossible to intercept or decode. Their information storage systems were distributed across thousands of hidden nodes throughout human space. Most importantly, they had something the aliens had never developed: perfect institutional memory. Every human colony, every space station, every settlement received copies of the complete New Harmony records. Not just the raw footage, but detailed analysis, survivor testimonies, and expert evaluation. The evidence was archived in quantum storage, distributed across multiple backup systems, and integrated into human education networks. Children on Earth learned the names and faces of every person killed at New Harmony. Students on Mars studied the tactical analysis of the alien attack. Colonists on the outer worlds practiced evacuation drills based on lessons learned from the massacre. The galaxy might believe the alien lies, but humanity would never forget the truth. In the great libraries of the Ektar Collective, scholars filed their reports about the extinct aggressive human species. They had no way of knowing that the species they thought destroyed was quietly preparing for the day when truth would have its reckoning. The aliens had controlled the narrative, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had assumed that controlling information was the same as controlling reality. They had forgotten that truth, like energy, can neither be created nor destroyed, only transformed. And humanity was very, very good at transforming energy into other forms. 20-year-old Lieutenant Sarah Chen stood in the memorial garden on Europa Station, reading the names carved into the black quantum crystal wall. 12,000 names. Every single person who died at New Harmony was listed here, from Dr. Marcus Webb down to 6-month-old baby Thompson, who had never learned to speak. Emma Webb, age 8, Sarah read aloud, her fingers tracing the letters. Love drawing made the crystal flowers glow brighter than anyone else. Sarah had never met Emma Webb, but she knew everything about her. Every human child learned about Emma and the others as part of their education. The New Harmony curriculum was mandatory across all human settlements, not to create hatred, but to ensure remembrance. Lieutenant Chen, report to command. Her communicator buzzed. Sarah straightened her uniform and walked through the station corridors. Europa Station looked like a peaceful research facility from the outside, but Sarah knew better. Hidden beneath the ice mining operations and atmospheric processors was one of humanity's most advanced military research centers. Admiral Patricia Hayes waited in the secure briefing room, surrounded by holographic displays showing star charts and technical specifications. At 65, Hayes had been a young captain when New Harmony was destroyed. Now she commanded humanity's most classified project. Sarah, how's your Vactar coming along? Hayes asked without preamble. Fluent in 3 dialects, Admiral. I can pass for a native speaker of the Northern Scale clans. Good. We've got reports that a Vactar survey ship will be passing through the Tau Ceti system next month. I want you on the intercept team, Sarah nodded. For 20 years, human agents had been slowly infiltrating alien society. It wasn't easy. Humans looked different from every known species, but advanced biosynthetic suits and careful preparation could create convincing disguises for short-term missions. What's the mission objective? Intelligence gathering, as always. We need to know how their new Dreadnought-class ships are powered. Our analysts think they're using some kind of dimensional tap technology. Sarah studied the technical displays. Humanity's own ships had improved dramatically since New Harmony, but they still lagged behind alien technology in some areas. Every mission like this brought back crucial intelligence that helped close the gap. Admiral, may I ask about Project Looking Glass? Hayes smiled grimly. On schedule. The first full-scale prototype should be ready for testing within 6 months. Project Looking Glass was humanity's most ambitious research program. Quantum computer capable of predicting military outcomes with unprecedented accuracy, fed with detailed intelligence about alien fleet positions, technological capabilities, and tactical doctrines. It could simulate entire interstellar conflicts before they happened. The preliminary models are encouraging, Hayes continued. But we need more data. Every alien ship you scan, every technology sample you acquire, brings us closer to certainty. Sarah left the briefing and made her way to Training Bay 7, where other human agents practiced their alien disguises. The biosynthetic suits were marvels of engineering, complete with artificial scent glands, thermal regulators, and even behavioral modification systems that helped humans move and gesture like other species. In Bay 7, Agent Marcus Torres was practicing Zeph crystalline communication patterns. His artificial crystal suit flickered with carefully modulated light sequences that translated to, "Trade negotiations proceed according to schedule." "Looking good, Marcus," Sarah called out. "But your fear-anxiety pattern is still too bright. Zeph don't show that much emotion during business discussions." Torres dimmed his artificial crystals and tried again. The light patterns were more subdued now, properly conveying professional interest rather than nervousness. These agents were part of humanity's largest intelligence network. Over 2 decades, human operatives had established false identities throughout alien space. They worked as traders, technicians, researchers, and bureaucrats. Some had been undercover so long that they had risen to positions of genuine authority in alien governments. The intelligence they gathered painted a clear picture. The 3 empires were preparing for something big. Military production was increasing across all their worlds. New weapons were being tested. Fleet exercises were becoming more frequent and realistic. "They're getting ready to finish the job," Director Robert Chen had warned the Earth Council. "The quarantine was never meant to be permanent. They're just waiting for the right moment to eliminate humanity completely." But humanity was preparing too, in ways the aliens never suspected. On Mars, the terraforming domes hid massive industrial complexes that produced quantum computers and nanotechnology systems. The official reports showed atmospheric processors and agricultural facilities. The reality was weapons production on a scale the galaxy had never seen. In the asteroid belt, mining operations extracted rare metals for civilian infrastructure projects. In truth, they were building fleets of ships designed with one purpose: to neutralize alien military superiority through superior numbers and tactics. The Oort cloud stations were officially listed as deep space research facilities, studying cosmic radiation and dark matter. Actually, they were massive shipyards constructing humanity's secret fleet. Ships built with alien technology stolen by human agents, improved with human innovation, and powered by human determination. Every human settlement participated in the Great Deception. Children attended regular schools where they learned mathematics, science, literature, and art. They also learned tactical planning, weapons maintenance, emergency protocols, and survival techniques. The education was carefully balanced. Humans would defend themselves, but they would never become the monsters that had attacked New Harmony. "We're not building an empire," President Santos had declared in a classified address to human leadership. "We're building justice. When the time comes, we will be stronger, smarter, and more prepared than any species in galactic history. But we will not become like them." The cultural programs were as important as the military ones. Human artists created works that celebrated life, diversity, and the beauty of conscious thought. Human philosophers developed ethical frameworks for wielding unprecedented power responsibly. Human scientists pushed the boundaries of knowledge not for conquest, but for understanding. Every few months, alien inspectors would arrive at human settlements to verify compliance with quarantine regulations. They found exactly what they expected: a broken species focused on healing and remembrance. The humans showed them memorial gardens, peace festivals, and cultural preservation projects. The aliens left satisfied that humanity was no threat to anyone. They never saw the training facilities hidden in lunar caves. They never detected the quantum communication networks that connected every human settlement. They never realized that the memorial gardens were also tactical planning centers, where human military leaders studied 3-dimensional models of alien fleet positions and defensive structures. Lieutenant Chen's generation had grown up with this dual existence. They were artists and engineers, teachers and soldiers, philosophers and tacticians. They understood that strength without wisdom was tyranny, but they also understood that wisdom without strength was helplessness. "Remember, Emma Webb," Sarah whispered as she prepared for her next undercover mission. "Remember what they took from us. Remember what we're fighting to protect." The mission briefing materials included detailed intelligence about Vactar ship construction techniques, gathered by Agent Rodriguez during his 2-year assignment as a refugee technician on a Vactar industrial world. Rodriguez had spent 24 months learning their manufacturing processes while pretending to be grateful for their generous humanitarian assistance to displaced humans. Similar intelligence flowed in from dozens of other agents. Agent Kim had infiltrated a Zeph research facility and discovered their energy storage limitations. Agent Patel had joined a Morden exploration fleet and mapped their navigation systems. Agent Jackson had even managed to get appointed as a cultural liaison to the Galactic Council, where she monitored political developments and policy decisions. The aliens thought they were being generous by allowing some humans to work in supervised humanitarian roles throughout their territories. They had no idea they were providing perfect cover for the largest espionage operation in galactic history, Project Looking. Glass synthesized all this intelligence into tactical models that grew more sophisticated each year. The quantum computers could now predict alien responses to theoretical human attacks with 97.3% accuracy. They had identified optimal strike patterns, supply line vulnerabilities, and command structure weaknesses across all three empires. More importantly, they had confirmed what human leadership suspected. The aliens were planning a final solution to the human problem within the next 2 years. They're calling it Operation Cleansing Light. Agent Jackson reported during her annual debriefing. Complete sterilization of all human worlds, followed by colonization by approved species. The Galactic Council has already pre-approved the action as necessary for galactic stability. The timeline was accelerating. Humanity's preparation phase was nearly complete, but the window for action was closing rapidly. Admiral Hayes stood in the command center deep beneath Europa's ice, watching as the final components of humanity's secret fleet moved into position. 27 years Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the HDS Remembrance, watching as the last Vactar warship surrendered. 27 years of preparation had led to this moment. Around her, human officers monitored hundreds of similar scenes across the galaxy as the three great empires fell in a single, coordinated strike. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from the Zeph home system," reported Commander Martinez. "Their entire crystal fleet is asking for quarter." "Grant it," Sarah replied without hesitation. "Standard protocols. Evacuate all alien personnel to safe zones, secure their ships, and begin medical assistance for any wounded." The bridge crew worked with calm efficiency. Every officer had trained for this moment since childhood, but they had also been taught the crucial difference between justice and revenge. Human forces were dismantling three empires, but they were doing it with surgical precision, ma'am. "Admiral Hayes is requesting a conference call with all fleet commanders," Martinez announced. Sarah nodded and activated the holographic communication system. The faces of 12 other admirals appeared around her, each commanding a different sector of the human assault. Admiral Hayes appeared in the center, her expression showing both triumph and careful restraint. "Status report. All commands," Hayes ordered. "Vactar hegemony has ceased military resistance," reported Admiral Kim from the Serpent sector. "We've secured their shipyards and command centers. No civilian casualties reported. Zeph Collective is offering complete surrender," added Admiral Patel from the Crystal Fields. "Their government wants to negotiate terms. Morden Empire is complicated," said Admiral Torres from the Gas Giant campaigns. "Their leadership is scattered across multiple cloud formations. We're still locating all their command nodes." Sarah activated her own report. "Central Command Sector secured. High Commander Zexthul and the other New Harmony architects are in custody aboard Kepler Station." Hayes nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent work, everyone. Phase 1 is complete ahead of schedule. Begin Phase 2 immediately." Phase 2 was the most important part of the operation. While human fleets maintained control of alien military assets, specialized teams began broadcasting the truth about New Harmony to every world in the galaxy. The aliens had controlled galactic communications for decades, but human agents had spent years infiltrating those networks. Now humanity seized control of every major broadcast system, every data relay, every information hub. The lies that had sustained the three empires for nearly 30 years crumbled in a matter of hours. On Thylos Prime, Speaker Thylos watched in horror as her government's communication centers displayed footage she had never seen before. Human children playing in crystal gardens, Dr. Marcus Webb's desperate final transmission, alien soldiers systematically executing civilians. The real evidence from New Harmony preserved and protected by humanity for 27 years. "This cannot be accurate," she whispered. But the quantum encryption signatures proved the footage was genuine. Every piece of evidence humanity presented carried mathematical proof of its authenticity. Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds. The scholarly Ektar Collective gathered in their great libraries, comparing the new evidence to their official records. The peaceful Velcani Trade Union convened emergency councils to discuss what they had just learned. Species after species discovered they had been deceived. "We were told the humans were aggressive expansionists," said Scholar Prime Ekthar during an emergency galactic broadcast. "But this evidence shows they were peaceful colonists who were murdered for the crime of existing." The revelation spread like wildfire through galactic society. Within days, the three empires found themselves completely isolated. Their former allies and neutral parties alike condemned them as war criminals and liars. But Sarah Chen was focused on a different kind of justice. In the secure holding area aboard Kepler Station, she faced the three beings who had orchestrated the New Harmony massacre. High Commander Zexthul sat in restraints, his scales now dull with fear and defeat. Crystal Singer Morthax flickered weakly in a containment field. Wind through darkness swirled anxiously in its imprisonment suit. "You could have simply killed us," Zexthul said, his voice hollow. "Why this elaborate capture?" Sarah walked closer to the containment cells. "Because killing you would make us like you. And we are not like you." She activated a holographic display showing the memorial wall from New Harmony. 12,000 names appeared in the air between them, each one glowing softly with eternal light. Emma Webb, age 8, Sarah read from the list. She loved to draw. Made crystal flowers glow brighter than anyone else could. You murdered her because she might someday pose a threat to your empires. Morthax's light pattern shifted to what Sarah recognized as shame. We believed our intelligence reports. The humans appeared dangerous. You created the intelligence reports, Sarah interrupted. You fabricated evidence. You lied to the galaxy and to yourselves. You convinced everyone that peaceful families deserved to die. She walked to the next cell. Dr. Marcus Webb, age 45, xenobotanist, spent his entire life trying to build bridges between species. His last act was warning Earth about your true nature. You killed him for telling the truth. Wind through darkness pulsed in its containment suit. "What do you want from us? Confession? Apology? We acknowledge our errors in judgment," Sarah smiled coldly. "I want justice. Not vengeance, justice. And justice means you need to understand what you've done." She activated another control, and the containment cells began to fill with a soft blue light. Neural interface systems emerged from the walls, designed with technology humanity had developed specifically for this moment. "What is this?" Zexthul demanded, struggling against his restraints. "This is memory," Sarah replied. "Perfect, unfiltered, complete memory. You're going to experience everything that happened at New Harmony. Every moment. Every death. Every scream. From the victims' perspectives." The alien leaders recoiled in horror as they realized what she meant. "You will feel what Dr. Webb felt when you killed him. You will experience Emma's fear when your soldiers came for her. You will understand the pain of every single person you murdered. And then you will do it again, every day, for the rest of your lives. That's torture." Morthax protested, its crystalline form flashing with panic. "No," Sarah said firmly. "Torture is what you did to innocent people. This is education. You will learn, truly learn, what your actions cost. Not in abstract numbers or tactical reports, but in real, personal, undeniable experience." She gestured to the memorial display. "These people will never be forgotten. Their pain will never be minimized, and you will carry the full weight of what you did until the day you die." The neural interfaces activated, and the three war criminals began their first lesson in the reality of their crimes. Their screams echoed through the holding area as they experienced for the first time what they had inflicted on others. But Sarah took no pleasure in their suffering. This wasn't about cruelty. It was about ensuring that the magnitude of evil was never forgotten or dismissed. She left the holding area and made her way to the station's command center, where Admiral Hayes was coordinating the transition of galactic power. The three empires were effectively finished, their governments dissolved and their military forces neutralized. But the galaxy still needed leadership. "The Galactic Council is requesting an emergency session," Hayes reported. 47 species want to meet with human representatives to discuss reorganization of galactic society. "I'll attend," Sarah replied. "But we make it clear from the beginning. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to protect it." The emergency session was unlike any in galactic history. Human ships surrounded the council station, not as conquerors but as guardians. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to hear humanity's terms for the post-Empire galaxy. Sarah stood where Zexthul had once delivered his lies. But instead of deception, she offered truth. Members of the Galactic Council, she began, humanity does not seek dominion over you. We seek justice and assurance that what happened to New Harmony never happens again. She activated a display showing humanity's proposed galactic constitution. We propose a new system based on transparency, accountability, and protection of innocent life. No species may attack civilians. No government may control information networks. No empire may use lies to justify genocide. Speaker Thylos raised one of her forearms. And if species refuse to accept these terms? Sarah's expression hardened. Then they will discover that humanity has very long memories and very advanced weapons. We prefer cooperation, but we are prepared for other alternatives. The message was clear. The age of empires built on lies and sustained by violence was over. A new age had begun, one where those who remembered the slaughter would ensure justice prevailed. In the months that followed, the galaxy slowly adapted to its new reality. The three former empires were partitioned into smaller supervised territories. Their military forces were disbanded and their weapons destroyed. Most importantly, their leaders faced trial for their crimes, with the New Harmony survivors serving as primary evidence. The neural pun,